correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPG, the podcast where me and my friend Steve try and help you get the most out of your role-playing game experience.
Welcome back to Me and Steve Talk RPGs. I'm here with my friend Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And we're going to talk some RPGs, but before we get to that, we're going to talk some Eberron Renewed.
Yes, Eberron Renewed is another podcast here on the D20 Radio Network. As you might guess from the name, it's based around the Eberron campaign setting. And they're at this point actually, based on episode count, about a year and a half into campaign 3. Now, their first campaign was D&D 5th edition. The second was a custom application of Genesis. And the third one, which I had heard they were going to try a custom rule set. I recently did a little research, and I had heard that from GM Eric. However, based on what they've posted on their, podcast description, episode things, whatever, they're using 13th Age 2nd edition for campaign 3. So,
wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I mean, they're really cool people. I've met a number of I've met GM Eric. We've had him on the show once or twice. I've met a few of them. They're very, very cool people. Very good show. I haven't actually listened to it in a while, but I can tell you I did listen to a lot of it, and it's very entertaining. So, check that out if you're into Eberron. Like I said, very cool show, very cool people, very good game.
Well, this week you had sort of come up with a topic around the idea of not being afraid to fail or failing interestingly.
Yeah, I guess it was something that came to me when we were discussing something else, and just a little, scribbled the words "fear of failure" on the notepad that I use when we're recording. Now, what exactly I meant at this point, I don't remember, but I think some of it was like, we've all had those situations, and I know we've said before, there's the don't roll unless failure is interesting, but I think maybe a better way to say it is just make failure interesting. And I don't mean that necessarily in, we talked about fumbles a couple episodes back and whatnot. And, sometimes it can be funny, but a lot of times, I mean, we've all probably done it that time where, they failed their whatever it is roll and now we're stuck.
Right.
And I think that creates sometimes almost a hesitancy for players to take chances creatively. And I think, there's got to be better ways to deal with it than, oh, no, you didn't do the thing. I know there's been times where I've been running games and I've asked for a roll on something and flat out told the player, look, this isn't to see if you can do the thing.
Right.
It's more of how quickly, how efficiently, whatever. You're going to do the thing, but are there going to be complications? You know what I mean? And
absolutely. I think that's another way of looking at it, though, is so this is going to happen, but this is a complications roll.
Mm-hmm.
This is a what factors are, a long time ago, GM Chris talked about you need to cross a rope, but the rope is wet and it's dark and it's raining, and those are all things that add difficulty to a roll. And I think sometimes we need to think about failure as not necessarily that, oh, well, you rolled bad on the dice, so you don't do that. Make your players feel like there was a number of things stacked up against them that made them failing consequential.
Yeah, and I think it's like the gating behind a binary pass-fail result. Like, look, there are times when you don't do the thing and it doesn't work in life, right? But, okay, look, we live in the northeast/midwestern United States. We get snow in the wintertime here. if you're driving in snow, sometimes you can't go up a certain hill. Well, you can interpret that as, in game terms, okay, you failed your drive roll. Well, but that doesn't mean you can't get from wherever you're to or to wherever you're going necessarily. Maybe you have to back up, back down the hill and go around a different way and it takes a bit longer. Well, in the context of a game, right? If you got other things happening now, your players, your party, they didn't get there when they wanted to, so now other stuff has happened. But it doesn't feel like, oh, you can't get there. It just means you didn't get there when you wanted to. And I don't know, I think leveraging that kind of outlook on failed dice rolls can be really helpful. I mean, different systems handle it different ways too.
Right, absolutely. And yeah. Um hmm,
I'm thinking specifically like Gumshoe, where they take the kind of presumed competence to a different level than a lot of games where, oh, well, you're going to find a clue, but how good of a clue depends on, how much, in that case, how many points you spend. But I think you can take that idea and apply it to a traditional system in, look, your character has, you know, a good skill in whatever thing is. So you're not necessarily going to screw up in this circumstance, but let's roll to make it interesting as opposed to pass fail. Is that
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, instead of being like, "Oh, well, you succeed or you fail, you make it you succeed but or you failed but."
yeah,
And
yeah,
adding that little bit of extra, I think really can make a difference. I think it really can.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you. I don't know. It just to me it makes things feel more alive. And the thing that too like, and I'm probably guilty of this as a player myself, but you oftentimes go, well, I don't want to screw it up, so I don't want to roll to do the thing. And like, I don't know. It seems to me that it can be more interesting, but as a GM, you can't treat it as as ones and zeros. You know what I mean? Like, you know, uh, another way to look at it, I guess, I in what I do at work, there's some technical and whatever elements to it, and we're doing stuff, we're building things, and you'll bring in new people, and you're trying to train them and teach them, and I tell a lot of new people all the time, it's not about not screwing up because everyone screws up sometimes. You have a mental lapse, whatever, right?
Right.
It's not about not making the mistake. It's about catching your own mistake and correcting it, before someone else. And I don't mean this is in a competitive before, but before someone else has to come by and go, hey, you didn't do that right. You need to you know, redo it a little bit. But
Right.
I think th-
Absolutely.
that like kind of goes to what we're talking about here, right? Where it's not okay, yes, you didn't get it right, but it only just made it more a little more complicated or involved. It's and obviously, okay, this doesn't work in combat scenarios necessarily. And then, you have systems like the NDS, Star Wars Genesis, where you have the threat and advantage that kind of force this concept in. But I don't know. I feel like even on just a regular, be it a D&D or any, so to speak, pass fail system, you can narratively make things a lot smoother. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think even in a pass fail system, you can make things feel more organic. And I think you're saying, you're thinking smoother, and I get where you're coming from with that. You're trying to make it seem more realistic instead of it being, oh well, you failed. You just didn't do it. And
yeah.
and that feels objectively way worse.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing, right? Like, we're playing these games to have a good time.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
make it interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like to in the cases of like let's say investigative games like Gumshoe or like when we played Mutant City Blues. If you guys fail to roll, I'll give you a clue, but it's not going to be a clue in the right direction per se. You know what I mean?
or not a good clue, a very obfuscated clue, or
Yeah. Yeah, something something that's going to be a little bit more smoke and mirrors than you were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely get where you're coming from of like, well, don't just make it a binary, you succeed, you fail, you're good, you suck. That's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we do have to add those changes, and we do have to do things that are like, okay, well, you didn't roll great, but I don't want to, like, I don't know, sometimes you pull your punches for your players. I just That's just a fact. And you just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me," or you don't tell them the numbers and you pull your punches anyways, because I've done that a lot. A lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's and I think in games like okay, Slay Industries, the way that dice system works, I usually tell people their target number
Right.
because of how that system works. That makes it a whole lot easier for them to give me their dice results. You know, it is. But at the same time, it's like I don't know, like oh no, I think there are times where like okay, no, you don't want to make people roll for every annoying little thing. But especially if you're just going to go, well, no, you didn't do it. Make your pick locks roll. You've got a guy, he's a thief, right? Okay, he's going to get the lock pick. But if you're being chased, you know, maybe that roll is to see if you can get that door open, that lock open fast enough where it barely slows you down, as opposed to do you get it open? Does it tighten things way up? You know what
Right.
I mean?
Or how much does it slow you down? That's
Right.
another thing. I've really started to come around on the use of like actual timers in game, and being like, okay, well, you needed to pick this lock, you're being chased by the prison guards, you need to get out of here at this time, so you didn't roll well, you get the door open, but the guards are right behind you. So you've lost a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
and it ratchets up the tension. It's not just, oh, you're caught by the prison guards and thrown back in jail. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it
Or
adds a little bit of complexity to the situation.
yeah, and I feel like that sort of, adding that complexity or those other layers, however you want to call it, just it makes more going on in the game and I don't know, to me that just makes it more fun. Like, and I think the other thing too, and I've been thinking about this, be it like with the Olympics being on, because I think they just wrapped up yesterday and whatnot, right? You watch the Olympics, and sometimes somebody has a bad day, and it's like you want to look at it and go, man, that guy from wherever that's in last place sucks. No, that person is one of the handful of best people at whatever they do in their country, and one of the top, you know, I don't know, we'll say there's 30 people competing in it. This is arguably one of the top 30 people in the world. They're really damn good at whatever event it is they're doing. They just didn't do as good as everyone else. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I absolutely. And sometimes that's just up to factors of the day.
Right, right. Like, like I remember somewhere there was a comedian that had this bit that he did about, there should be, and I don't remember how he phrased it, but, in these, be it Olympic or World Cup level sports, there should be one guy running who is just some random person they picked out of the stands, in the 100-yard dash, just to give us a frame of reference of this is, Bob, who was in seat 7G. This is what a normal person looks like compared to these athletes we have on in the actual event.
Right. Yeah.
And realistically, in many games, I don't think comparing player characters to Olympians would be out of line. You
No, not at all.
in most games, your player characters are exceptional for the world they're in. So, I mean, like Deck does that a lot in our Exalted game. Now, Exalted takes that kind of to a whole new level, but at the same point, the concept still stands. Eh,
Yeah,
eh,
I completely agree with that. It's the idea that you are the cream of the crop when it comes to this stuff. That's the thing I think is so interesting. Even low level. So the thing I think is funny is that people lose sight that even like low level strength characters are still superpowered in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there aren't games where you're just playing a dude, but that's not as fun as playing someone who's like crazy superpowered. You know what I mean? Crazy good at
Mhm.
what they do.
Well, and I think
So,
that's the whole, it's one of the reasons that most of us play games is to have that vicarious feeling of expertism.
yeah.
Look, you may not be, like, okay, look, I don't know, probably stronger than the average person, but I'm no means a bodybuilder, power lifter person. But I can play a character that is, in the context of the game world, probably actually stronger than your average, we'll call it strength athlete in that setting. And that's not uncommon.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think,
And
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, no, no. Finish your thought.
So I think you need to take that thought into context when there's a failed roll, because much of the world is, you know, relative to normal people, not your player characters. So yes, you didn't do it with all the bells and whistles that you should have been able to, but maybe you did achieve the thing, just it took you a little longer or whatever. That's kind of where I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I don't know. My brain is. I don't know. I'm like running out of thoughts.
Hmm.
um.
I don't know. Like, I keep, you know, of late, I've been exploring, and I don't know how this ties in, but we're just going to go there. I end up putting a lot of television series, has been my latest kick on while I'm working. Okay. So I'm half watching, but I'm mostly listening. And I've gone down this kick lately of international series.
Okay.
And it's fun because they don't always do things the same way that we're used to. And it just like it makes me think about, well, how could I apply some of this different, be it the different tropes or the different way of looking at something that you kind of see if you watch a television show that's produced in a different country. You know, I watched a series recently. It's an Australian series. It's called Harrow, and it's about this guy who's a pathologist for
Right.
the police department. Okay, but it's kind of like a little bit like he's a little bit out there and off the wall, a little bit almost like House. But like he's constantly going, but wait, this thing and this thing doesn't seem right. Let me go look and could there be this thing? You know what I mean? Like the but I guess to a certain point, like where I can tie this into failure in this case is right. So he does the initial exam, we roll for that. Okay, he succeeds or he doesn't, whatever. Look, he's still an excellent medical pathologist, but maybe he doesn't notice this minor detail, that minor detail. But because he is very good at what he does, as a GM, you bring up not immediately, but you know, maybe a scene or two down the road, hey, in the back of your head, there's this thing kind of just digging at you, and you realize that, well, wait a minute, if he died from this, then I should have seen this, and I didn't see that,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and I don't know. That has absolutely nothing to do with where the show was produced, but that kind of way of approaching, be it failure or whatever. And I think too, right? Maybe I don't know. I think we've just gotten, because it's the quick and easy way to do it. Sometimes maybe we just get too complacent with pass fail being so cut and dried, because I don't feel like in my real life that pass fail is nearly that cut and dry most of the time.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I feel like it's not as, oh, you failed. It's more ambivalent. Ambival.
Ambiguous.
Yes. I can't talk. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it's more of a gray, like it's not necessarily black and white. It's more of a gray in the middle type thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if yeah, failure is gray. There we go.
Failure is gray. Uh, uh, well, any other thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, sometimes we come up with these topics and there's not as much meat there as we thought there was, and other
Yeah,
times,
sorry.
well, it's been a weird. I've been working a lot.
It's
You've been having all sorts of issues. I know you
oh,
had computer problems, and
I have had the worst run of luck, and things are. Uh, I hate saying that because I every time I think, oh, this has been the worst, and then it hits me like 10 times worse. But yeah, I've had some computer issues, and we've had power problems, and I hate wintertime here. I sometimes.
no, I get that.
Unfortunately, sorry we're giving you a short episode this week, but eh, we'll work and get a longer one out to you before too long. And I hope everybody's been enjoying the actual play.
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to edit that with some music behind it and stuff like that to make it a little more, I don't know, a little more pleasant to listen to, I guess.
Fair
Uh,
enough. Um, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm behind. I don't know where we're at.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I've listened to a finished episode. I
Yeah,
play them, I edit them, and then I put them out, and it's like, okay, well, and especially too, because Steve Brain, usually end up editing Sunday night, like late into Monday morning, put them up, they drop Monday night into Tuesday. I've just spent how many hours listening to this? I don't want to listen to it again right now.
right. Absolutely. No, I agree.
At some point I should go back and listen to a lot of it, you know, just to see, completely how it sounds, not be it the spot checking I do for levels or whatever. But it's also amusing sometimes when I'm going through editing, like the little things I'll go, oh, wait a minute. I had forgotten about that happening.
Right.
Or we never did anything with this thing that happened. But such
Well,
also is what happens when you play monthly and
yeah. Monthly if you're lucky,
because adult things.
because adulting. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I wish we could all just, go back to the, oh, are you busy tonight? No, I'm not busy tonight. Sweet, let's play.
yeah, right.
Now it's like, are you busy tonight? Do you want to play? Well, that's going to take 3 hours, and it's already 7 o'clock. So
Yeah, yeah. It's
that
kind of
means it
funny,
would be 10 p.m., and I got to go to bed.
right? Because I have to do that
Uh,
work thing. Because oh
uh,
yeah, I have to pay bills and yeah.
can't we just deal with, like, can't those just go away? Just make those all go away at some point. I'm just gonna stop paying them and see what happens.
Yeah, that doesn't work out very well. At least so I hear.
Uh, anyways, um, we might as well move into game of the week at this point.
Woohoo! Game of the week.
Game of the week. Game of the week.
It was almost like a reverse. It was almost like a whoo. So the game I have is called Survive This: War for the Wasteland. It sort of has like a 90s post-apocalyptic anime type vibe.
Okay.
I'm sending it your way.
Sure.
It's all $15, 14.99. War for the Wasteland is a post-nuclear war set in the former United States, 400 years after the bomb is dropped. It's a wasteland filled with warring factions, mutated beings and animals, and people just trying to get by and put their pieces back together. Um, it looks really cool,
I
man.
was gonna say it has kind of an almost like the art almost gives me like low tech riffs vibes.
Yeah, yeah, it's got a lot of tanks. Like a lot of the images have tanks in them. I think tanks are cool.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, it sort of has like a 90s anime type feel to it. And
Yeah.
and that's definitely something I'd be down to check out and play. Is some 90s post-apocalyptic anime. So definitely
Oh,
something to check
absolutely.
out.
Yeah, that looks neat. It's kind of an OSR rule set, so
Yeah.
probably reasonably light and able to, make things move if you so choose. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure. I'm sure that it's plug and play any system you want.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Or well, yeah, setting is setting. So, all right. Well, I have something, and I don't know how I missed this getting released because I'm on the official Artelsaurian Discord, and they ping you. Well, actually, it's probably how I missed it because they ping a lot about stuff. And look, it's all well and good, right? They're promoting
right.
their stuff. That's what they do. But did you know they had come out with this thing? It's
This
called single
thing.
player mode.
Oh yeah, I did know about this thing.
It is literally a solo play handbook
Adaption. Yeah.
for Cyberpunk Red.
Yeah.
And in reading the listing, there's a lot of like the reviews and whatnot that say, "Hey, look, even if you are just playing as a GM, this thing is great for inspiration, just reducing the cognitive load on as a GM." Um, the one review here, a very good supplement for solo role playing in the time of the Red. I got more than I expected. Honestly, I'd recommend this for GMs running Cyberpunk Red in general. It has lots of tools and inspiration for creating your own scenarios or spicing up existing ones.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very cool.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, okay, the PDF is $10. There's actually print on demand options if you want to get it, printed. It's how big is it? About 100 pages. Um, yeah, I don't know if I saw it and just didn't remember it, but the reviews are very, very good for it. And, seems to me that it's possibly worth picking up if you're into Cyberpunk Red or probably just Cyberpunk settings in general.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. Now it is a little weird to find because it's literally just called single player mode. you
Well,
know.
yeah.
Um
Yeah. Um I had seen this and I sort of looked at it, chalked it up to, "Ooh, that's neat," and then didn't think much more about it, unfortunately. But
At some point, I
yeah.
really do want to sit down and try some solo stuff just because, well, it would be gaming that I can do at all the weird hours that I'm awake when not that many other
Well,
people are.
and truth be told, I've done a little bit of it and I'm really enjoying it. Like it's a lot
Hmm.
of fun. So,
Alrighty.
yeah. Well, I guess with all that being said, thank you for listening to the podcast this week, even though it was a short one. Um, I'm glad to be back. I finally got my computer up and running, so it's in better shape. Hoping to be more around now. But we want to remind everyone to be kind to one another and get out there and play some RPGs.
Yep. Take care, y'all.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast. On Discord at Me and Steve RPGs. And as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.